Hi guys, this is Anna and welcome to my channel. This is going to be part 2 of the books I have finished in the month of March, and a lot of the books in this video I really liked. So just to get out of the way, the book of the month, which I have absolutely loved, have given 5 out of 5 stars. I have recorded a separate video on that book about 2 weeks ago, so I'm going to leave a link down below, and that book was Justine by Lawrence Durrell, and that's the first book in the Alexandrian Quartet, so it's book 1 out of the 4. I'm besotted with that book. That's probably the best way to describe it. I read it 2.5 times. I will definitely go back and read it again. I read bits of it actually in April because I since have completed the second book in the series, and I just needed to go back to the first one to review some of the things for personal reasons, and I just absolutely love it. So that's absolutely the book of the month, and you can watch the video if you want, which I have included some of the spoilers into it. I'm really sorry, but the plot is so complicated and such a fundamental part of my discussion to explain why I love the book, had to rely on it, that I just mentioned it a bit. The second book I have finished in the second half of March was Riveted by Jay Crownover, and I have read it electronically, hence I'm just looking at my Goodreads. And that's the third book in the Saints of Denver series, which is a spin-off from the Mark Twain series I have read like 2-3 years ago, whenever they were coming out. And I have given this book 2 stars, and it's like just scraped 2 stars. Realistically, it's like 1.5. The characters did nothing for me. I found it boring, predictable. A lot of it was just pointless in my opinion. Too much sex, stupid relationship choices. So I'm not going to read any more in the series, and I think I'm not going to read anything else by Jay Crownover, which is a bit sad because the first book in the Mark Twain series I actually genuinely liked, the one called Rule. But hey, and maybe she had like one amazing male character, and then because it became so popular, she has to churn these books, like literally 1 or 2 per year. She just doesn't have time to engage with the characters again. So yeah, the book which I have finished like towards the end of March, and I have read very slowly through the month of March, that was a joint read, and I absolutely loved it. However, I cannot say it's the book of the month for me because that was the reread. I have read the Middlemarch previously by George Eliot, and the second time I have liked it more. This book needs a thorough thinking as you read it. Don't gulp it. Think about it, go away from the book, go back to the book. You will get more out of it. This was published in 1871 by George Eliot, so it's a female writer writing under sort of more masculine pseudonym. And this book, I can totally agree that this is revolutionary. However, maybe because I live in the 21st century, not in the end of the 19th century, and my perception of the world is sort of more feminist based, it's not mind-blowing for me in that sense. I've given this 4.5 stars, which I rounded to 4 rather than to 5, because bits of this book I have found are rather dull. The first 2-3 parts I really enjoyed, but it has 2 main plots which run parallel, and then some of the subplots, and one of the subplots has really got a central stage towards the end of the book, and it was boring for me. So instead of being 5, it's now 4.5 stars for me. The 2 main lines which run in parallel, one was that I see this young girl who's been raised by her uncle because both her and her sister have lost their parents, and she's just really curious about the world. She's very naive in the way she looks at things because she's still so young. She hasn't experienced things. She has this idealistic opinion about what kind of husband she wants. So she picks a husband her sister and her uncle are a bit appalled of. They don't say anything. They let her make a choice because it's a very liberal novel in that sense. You are an individual. You're encouraged to be an individual. You're encouraged to know best about what it is you like. Even if you might be wrong, it is you who thinks it's right. Therefore, you are correct. It's a very, very liberal view of looking at it. And I think that's exactly why George Eliot has chosen that plot, just to show that aspect. Because in 1871, there was a lot of debate philosophically about the value of liberalism, and the socialist ideas were becoming. So it's a very humanistic book. The rest of the plots are also very humanistic, and you look at 3 aspects of humanism, which I absolutely enjoyed. And she makes this bizarre, for our point of view, decision to marry a very boring, selfish, close-minded old man, for the reasons which I can kind of see why she went for that, but she was just so thoroughly wrong. And she realized how wrong she was throughout the novel, and she learned to live with the consequences. Fortunately, he dies, so she has a choice, like she has a chance to make another choice. That was one plot. I don't want to say more because I will spoil the book, so I'm leaving that one aside. And then the second one, which runs in parallel, which has nothing romantically to do with the first part, which for me was a plus, is Dr. Eliot, and I really enjoyed actually reading about him. He also makes a choice, which he kind of gets manipulated into making, and he realizes very, very late that he has been manipulated. But again, he accepts responsibility, and he plows through that regardless, to whatever end it leads him. There are subplots, they're all interaction. So I love slow books, I like thick books, I love to go on a journey, I love to meet a set of characters, and these books most definitely lets you do that. You live with them throughout the trials and the misfortunes. You live with the village or the small town, hence all the small-mindedness, all the gossip, everything which it brings into the book. And I love it. So I applaud Eliot for including the set. This was brilliant. And actually I can see why the subplot has got a central stage towards the end, and I can see why she did it. And back in 1871, that was a very revolutionary concept of what she's done, but in 2017 it's just a little bit dull. But if you have never read Middlemarch, I highly recommend that you do. This is a wonderful book, and it talks so much about the personal view of the person, the value of an individual, of a society, and it lets you think of what is right. Like, should the happiness of one person precede the happiness of society? Great book, highly recommended. Which leaves me with Willa Cather and her All Pioneers, which I've meant to read for a very long time, and it just kind of got postponed and postponed until I finally finished it in March. And you may say, Anna, why do we see a new edition? Because you've been showing this edition for weeks and weeks and months. Yes, I have started reading this in the Oxford University Press edition, which you have seen multiple times on my channel, and this edition is brilliant because it has a really good foreword, like really good, and it has chronology, which came in handy, and in the end it has glossary, which is also brilliant if the words and the idioms of the late 19th century American English are new to you. I didn't really have to use it because somehow I did know that, but I used to read a lot of Mark Twain, and I loved Mark Twain, so I knew the words. About 50 pages through this book, I've realized I absolutely adore Willa Cather and I want to read more, so I went looking for more. And you know, I have this bizarre obsession with all of my books being, like, all of the authors' works being published by the same publisher, if possible. And I've realized that the Oxford World Classic has not published the 2 other books which make the Wild Prairie series, and they haven't really published that much of Willa Cather to begin with. So on a quest I went, and I realized that vintage classics have published extensively, pretty much the entire collection ever published by Willa Cather. So what did I do? I've purchased all of them. That's a lot of books, but I know I'm going to enjoy them. So all of the bookmarks and all of the notes which I've made reading this book have been made into this edition, because this is the one I'm going to keep. What can I say? I absolutely loved this book. This is such a small piece of fiction which absolutely punched me in my solar plex. I cried several times while reading this book, and I was touched by the human stupidity. And usually I'm quite a tolerant, like I can see it from far away, and I'm quite tolerant to that. But the human stupidity in this book really punched me. I absolutely loved it. I loved the language, I loved the concept of the book, I loved the characters, even the characters who are horrible human beings or very selfish human beings. I still loved it. I love the happy parts and the sad parts in this book, and there are both of them, because you get to see the life of the pioneers, particularly the older generation, because you get to see 3 generations in this book. You get to see the people who first came in from abroad and settled, and their life was living hell in some parts, in some aspects. You get to see how their children made the choice. Did they keep the culture of the parents had from abroad, or did they try to assimilate more into American culture, create something new? And some of them were on the fence. They were like this rare breed who kind of halfway there, halfway here, and people who completely denounced their origins just so they could feel as if they fit into the new society. And because, you know, I'm Russian and I live in Britain, and I'm never going to be English. I'm British, but I'm never going to be English. Nor am I morally agreed with everything happening in Russia. I'm stuck in between. I came into this country when I was 17 and I grew up here. Therefore, my outlook on life is very much predetermined by the society I live in here. But yet I can still relate to my relatives and old classmates in Russia. It doesn't mean I agree with them, but I can relate to that, which I now realize if I have children here, they're not going to be able to relate to that. They're just going to be some of the idiosyncrasies of my family will look really, really weird to them. Not to say that the Russian culture is somehow worse than the English, it's just different. And it's great that it is different. But if you try to build a new life in a new country, it is very, very difficult. Particularly if it's a very religious society, because the Puritan American Christianity is very, very strict and very unwelcoming to any liberal ideas which come from the outside. And you don't want to be different from your neighbors, because it's a very harsh and unforgiving environment to live in already. And then we move to the 3rd generations, which are those kids who don't make a decision whether they're on the fence or not. They just completely disentangle themselves from the culture their grandparents had. They look at their grandparents as those retrograde people they have nothing in common with, and it's really, really sad. They make fun of this 1st generation as if they're somehow stupid. No, they're not stupid, they're just different. I felt so sad for this 1st generation of pioneers, because they had their worst life. They've made the riches for their children and grandchildren to enjoy, and yet they're not even appreciated for that. I love this book. I will highly recommend that you read it. And I've also read The Happy Reader. This is the autumn 2016 issue, which I kept on kind of putting aside because the half of this issue does focus on Willa Cather's or Pioneers, so all of this half. It has chapter on preserves, because oh my god, they made lots of different preserves in this book. It talks about Willa Cather and her personal life, which I find fascinating after reading the book. I absolutely love the issue. So starting with the issue, I gave this 4.5 stars out of 5. I loved everything to do with Willa Cather. I even loved the interview with Kristen Scott. So great issue, and I think you can still find this one. But The book itself was just fantastic. This I gave 5 out of 5 stars. I absolutely love this. I will highly recommend you read it. Which brings me to the final bit I want to make. In the month of March, I have reached 1,000 subscribers, and I never addressed this issue. I never thank all of you. So I'd like to thank all of you who have subscribed, came to my channel, who keep on watching and commenting under my videos and asking me books, or even more, recommending new books to me, because I really value this. I want to engage in the booktube community. I want to find new books, new authors. So as a thank you for 1,000 of you, 1,000, it's a huge number of people who actually sit and watch me. As a thank you, I would like to have a giveaway with this book. I've literally read like 50 pages. There are no markings. It looks absolutely pristine. No scuffs, not anything. So if you would like to get this book, all you really need to do is subscribe to my channel and leave a comment down below. And this will be open to both my English viewers and my Russian language viewers. And what I will do, I will keep it open until the 1st of May. And then on the 1st of May at midnight, the time will expire, so to speak. And I will randomly select a winner of this book. And I will post it regardless of where you are. So I don't really care which part of the globe you come from. Just you have to subscribe to my channel, leave a comment, and the final bit, you have to be over the age of 18. And if you're younger, I would like your parents' approval, because I don't want to break any laws. You have to be 18 or have your parents' approval. So that's it for the month of March. Please let me know if you read any of this book, if your opinion agrees or disagrees with mine. And happy reading, guys. See you soon. Bye.